Right, Beyond the Gates fans, episode 57. Not gonna lie, this week I'm kind of like, maybe I should have just, I don't know, binged all the episodes and condensed them into one. It's not that these episodes are bad, it's just like, as much as I like Ashley, how much longer is this, oh, woe is me storyline over Derek going to drag on? It's like, if you want the man, then I feel okay. I was watching. I love Andy Griffith, and it's on Paramount Plus. So some days I just sit back and watch a couple episodes at random. And I was watching the one where Aunt B buys like, I don't know, 100 pounds of beef or something like that, and then the freezer in the back porch doesn't work, and she's being a cheapskate about it, and she doesn't want to call the repairman from out of town. But then Andy's like, call the man. But Andy, I call the man. That's exactly what I was thinking this entire episode would actually like call the man, call Derek, which I think she does at one point. I don't know. I kind of phased out because this episode, the highlights were definitely Jacob interacting with Eva, the Chelsea Danny scene, because it was good to see a mother-daughter moment like that. That was pretty cool. And aside from that, that was pretty much it. So I'm still giving this one a solid 8 out of 10 because somebody on Twitter pretty much typed what I thought watching that scene. When Danny isn't at a 10, she is a very good mother. But it kind of makes you think about Bill as a father too, but we'll get to that when we get there. So before going further, make sure you take a moment to hit like and subscribe. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And let's get into it. So Chelsea is at Uptown with Allison, the wife of the married couple she's been having fun with from time to time. Unfortunately, Allison basically lets her know that my husband is my person, and we were just looking for things outside of the marriage extra in order to keep things spicy. And I never thought that someone like you who's a supermodel, but I quit supermodeling. Well, yeah, oh. But either way, I never thought somebody like you would catch feelings for, well, me. And that just makes things complicated. So Chelsea was dejected by that. Or, wait, is that the right word? Basically, she was hurt by that. And she pretty much storms out of there. And before that, she sees Naomi and Jacob over at the bar. But, you know, while they invite her to stay, she pretty much says, I got to go. And Chelsea is pissed off. So we go to the country club, and Danny's there with Pamela. And they're pretty much, you know, discussing their young lover situation, where Pamela recounts everything with Diego, from the kiss and everything to picking up on the energy between Andre and Danny. But turns out, because Andre isn't responding to her text right away, they're just friends. And it's like, I mean, well, it's just the first time. Usually this dude drops everything. Even if he was flying a plane, he would jump out with a parachute to get to your house, Danny. But, I mean, to be fair, you were open and honest with him. You pretty much, Danny did to Andre what Allison did to Chelsea. We were just having a good time, but you caught feelings, and well, that's not what I'm looking for right now. So you can't be, and it's not that Danny is mad, not that she's mad, but eventually she ends up calling Andre, obviously as a distraction for what's about to happen with Chelsea. But when they get on the phone, obviously he's still with Ashley, and says, oh yeah, I can't, well actually oh yeah, that's right, remember, no feelings, no explanations, just text me when you can. Okay. But she pretty much says, yeah, just a friend. Now, they pretty much hash things out with Pamela telling Danny to lock it down. Because I've been out here in these streets. I've been on these dating apps. There's nothing out here. If you found a good man, Savannah, he's a good man. No, it's like, if that's a good man, lock it down. And Diego pretty much is over with me, because it turns out that he was just using me to make a married woman jealous. And then that shift gears to me talking to him about modeling and everything. And Danny's like, oh yeah, with his abs and everything, that will appeal to a certain demographic. Basically, Diego gave Pamela the brush off and she's still blown away by the kiss. So then, briefly, we go over to Bill and Haley. Long story short, they're over there having sex. Round 1, round 2. And I'm hungry. For what? Macaroni from the Mac and Cheese in a Country Club. Now, the thing is, when Bill and Haley eventually walk in, they see Danny talking to Pamela, and Bill's like, keep running into my past. And it's like, going to a Dupree establishment and getting pissed off that you constantly run into one or more of the Duprees, specifically your ex-wife, is like going, it's like, you know what? I'm hungry. Let me go to KFC. Ugh, why is there chicken everywhere? Do you understand how stupid that statement is? Let me go to, I'm hungry. Let me go to Domino's. Now, why is pizza smell everywhere? Why are pizza and pepperoni? So, Bill, what are you talking about, man? It's like, in terms of the Duprees and whatnot, he prefers to pop up on them at his own discretion. But heaven forbid if he just so happens to run out into one in the wild. But what makes it dumb is when you go to a place owned and built and run by the Duprees, and then you get bent out of shape because you see some of them. All right, so as he and Haley walk in, Chelsea actually comes up behind him, and Danny plants one on Pamela, and it's like, what? These two are dumbfounded. And Chelsea is just pissed off, and that's what kind of made her annoying to this episode, that she was really bratty. She was giving Kat a run for her money as far as I'm concerned. But Chelsea goes up to her, and Danny's like, well, now you have a fresh palate to forget about the Diego kiss. And then they're laughing. Chelsea gets in her feelings like, and I can't really relate to this, but I guess her struggle was, because I'm in the closet, it's offensive for you to kiss someone of the same sex when you're not someone who identifies. Like I said, I can't relate to that, so I can't really say whether or not it's offensive, but she's offended, so she gets pissed off. Pamela goes, and then Chelsea, goes to the bar, and Bill and Haley have a front row seat because even Bill comes up to these two before Chelsea does. And Bill's in his feelings because he's assuming that Danny only did this to put on a show for him to make him jealous. And Danny's like, man, get out of here. This ain't got nothing to do with you. Bill gets rejected twice in this episode. But that goes back to what I was saying before. Like, as soon as Chelsea runs off, Danny calls Andre because rather than drinking, which is good to see Danny not picking up. She hasn't picked up the bottle or a glass in quite a while. I think the last time I vaguely remember her sipping on something was the karaoke episode. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was the last time. So essentially, she goes up to Chelsea at the bar and talks about how, I didn't mean to offend you, like, what's going on? And Chelsea's in her feelings because she just got rejected by that girl, and then she pretty much opens up about it. But before she can go further, Bill comes up because he's talking to Haley about it, and he's like, hey, I see all you upset. Anything I could do for you? It's like, Dad, this is a mother-daughter moment. It's like, okay, well, I know usually whenever a mother-daughter moment happens, sometimes you come talk to me, so just know if you need anything, you come see me. Okay. And I know that people laugh at Bill for getting rejected by Chelsea in that moment, but I didn't mind it in terms of how the scene went down, because Chelsea's obviously upset, but Bill taking that moment to just reassure Chelsea you could talk to me, I like that moment for what it was. So she pretty much reveals the whole thing about, and I like how she called out her mom briefly, not in a disrespectful way, but it's like, Mom, listen, if I talk to you, I want you to listen, because I know how you can be like usually on 10, and if I tell you something like, about me and this girl, then next thing you know, you're going to want to wave the flag and whatnot and just throw a coming out party, but that's not what's going on. Basically, I've been experimenting, and I'm I'm bi, I'm queer, I'm still figuring it out. That's what she said. And well, I never thought you would hide something like this from me. It's like, did you not tell anyone? Wait, did you? Was your dad part of the reason you never told anyone? Which could imply Bill is homophobic. I'm not going to sit on that, but that's what it seems to be. Maybe. I don't know. But either way, Danny is, just happy her daughter is figuring herself out, and they hug it out. So for what it's worth, that was a good moment. And I know that from there, Haley talks to Bill about the fact that Haley actually gave some sage advice for once. Basically, she said something that was worth saying, that given time, your daughters will come around. It's just that, hey, sometimes daughters need that moment with their mom, so just don't worry. It's like, it's like every time I feel like I'm making any sort of progress, something happens, I get, curbed. So he then drops his spoon, and then Haley takes note of his hand, twitching and everything. But he plays it off. It's just my hands been falling asleep ever since, the honeymoon thing. And he's like, well, yeah, you make sure it doesn't happen again. That way you can get ready for the next round. So Bill, go to a hospital. And yet again, his hand starts trembling whenever he's emotional or stressed about something. And obviously in this case, it's about his daughter. But at some point, it is just going to continue to get worse. Now, we go to... Oh, yeah. Briefly, Jacob was talking with Naomi at the bar at the diner about the whole Ashley and Derek thing. And he takes a moment to say, like, with everything going on between them, it's just a reminder of how, lucky I am to have someone like you. And yeah, in case I ever forget it, like our love and whatnot, Naomi's like, well, I'll make sure you remember. But he gets a text, obviously work related, so he has to bounce. And that's when he goes to the diner. So Leslie and Eva are, sitting down talking, and essentially Leslie admits to doing everything to Laura, from the motorcycle to the cardiac arrest. It was all out of love. This woman is twisted and deranged, people. And Jacob pops up on him and then questions Eva, because Leslie pretends to leave, but she kind of goes around the backside of the diner and sneaks into a booth in order to eavesdrop to see if Eva is still loyal. Now, from there, Jacob's questioning her, like, what were you doing that night? I was at a casino for a couple hours. All I won was $50, but it was just something to get my mind off things. And from there, this goes back to Leslie dropping a bomb on her daughter. Because, and this is before Jacob shows up, but I just had to mention it now. Given the fact, and this is a very twisted narrative when you think about it. So, Mama, I knew it, but I just put it in the back of my mind because you gaslit me into thinking that I was wrong about thinking you did that to Laura. Essentially, Leslie was saying, baby girl, you knew what I did. And even though, you didn't know for a fact, you knew. And with the laws, they don't care about when you knew something, when you didn't. But essentially, you're an accessory to what I did. So as a result, if I get locked up, we get locked up. Do you know how twisted and just... Good God. I gotta admit, Leslie is up there with some of the worst Tyler Perry parents, like, Veronica Harrington or Jim Cryer. It's just like, holy crap. The level of just... This woman is something else. So Jacob pretty much breaks it down like, okay, I want you to think long and hard about this next question. So, like, was your mom at home that night? Or wait, she's like, yeah. So think about long and hard, because this next question could be the last question I have to ask you and you're free to go. Or it could result in the both of you getting locked up. Do you think your mom was the one that hit Laura? And Eva says no. And then when Jacob gets up to leave, because he knows Eva's hiding something, he's like, look, so if you change your mind or if you come up with something else, you know how to find me. And she's crying, and then Leslie sneaks up, that's my girl. I knew you still love me. And some people online were saying the same thing. Eva, I was starting to come around for you. And if there was one moment that you could have really won fans over, it would have been dropping dime on your mom right then and there. because Jacob was asking about the motorcycle. Like, does your mom, you know, or, you know, did your family ever own a motorcycle? Well, our stepdad did, but as soon as he passed, we pretty much like got rid of all we could to make a little bit of money, because we pretty much sold everything we had just to, you know, uproot and move to this town. And does your mom ride motorcycles? My mom's always says they're instant death traps. So, Eva, while I understand your conflicted emotions, you dropped the ball. You really did, because at this point it's like just what Kat said. Oh, you knew about this the whole time. And then you come in at the 11th hour trying to warn people. That way, when stuff hits the fan, because you know it's too late, you can use the alibi of, oh, I tried to stop it. No. The Nicole thing and Ted, that was one thing. But Laura was a completely innocent person in this. Yeah, I know. Nicole was too. Leslie's revenge was directed towards Ted. But regardless, exposing Ted would, you know, ruin their marriage and whatnot. But Laura had nothing to do with this. And she almost got killed twice because of your crazy mom. And yet, she admits to it. But to be fair, even if Eva did, you know, say something to Jacob, I don't know exactly what could have been done to fully prove it. But regardless, it's just wild. So, Eva, I don't know what to say for you. It's like any sort of possible redemption, you're just tossing it out the window. Really are. All right, so I believe, let me just double check my notes. I think everything else to talk about in this episode is pertaining to Andre and Ashley and Derek and Naomi. Okay. All right, and if you made it this far, just another friendly reminder, make sure you like and subscribe and hit the thumbs up button to show you like this video. All right, so there was another tweet that just took me all the way out. Somebody said, so Ash, for the past 3 episodes, Ashley has been crying, and basically it's been the same day, if not only a few hours. So Ashley's been crying all day, but a single tear hasn't fallen from her eye. And I laughed for a good 10 minutes because he used a picture of Max from Living Single, just giving like a blank stare. Man. So Andre's just over there comforting Ashley. And like I said in episode 56, part of me feels like he's trying to be a good friend and encourage Ashley to work things out with Derek. But he's also low-key kind of taking jabs at Derek to almost make it seem like, hey, I'd never do you like that. Or basically saying like, you know, hey, I was the one that ran him off and made him, you know, leave. Hey, if I was in his shoes with a woman like you, I would never leave. Andre, come on now. So basically, in the midst of this, he's ignoring Danny's texts and whatnot and the calls. But like I said before, he's really bigging himself up while making Derek feel small. But it's almost like he's being sly about it too. He's doing it in like he's dropping small breadcrumbs, but when he notices Ashley isn't really eating them, he goes back to saying, well, hey, the problem, hey, stop beating yourself up and give him a call, see how he's doing. Maybe he's with the guys, because I guess based on that one scene where Derek is in the bed and we hear some background noise like a loud TV and whatnot, I guess his former roommates let him crash there for a while, because remember, he doesn't have any place to go. So, yeah, he's there at the beginning of the episode and then later on after he leaves Uptown after talking with Naomi. So, in any case, from there, they have a interesting discussion. Like, this woman has a mountain of tissues, but no tears. Yeah, so they're having a discussion about like, so what about you? I mean, have you never opened up or anything like that? Or you talking about how, you mean you never left a woman you were in a relationship with? Well, honestly, I've never been in a giving my all relationship, due to commitment stuff. Essentially, my aunt says that it has to do with, losing your parents? Yeah, that's kind of part of the reason. And, but just know, if it does get to, the point where it's the right woman and I give her my all, I'm, 10 toes deep. I'm not running away. And that's when he gets on the phone with Danny and he gets off and she's like, did I ruin your night? No. It's like, that person on the other end of the phone, that's the girl you left our place the other night for. She doesn't say it, but obviously remember the booty call. And it's like, no, I'm single. A situationship. But you know what? Hey, No need to wear a cape trying to be a hero, because he even says, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll just go down to the firehouse and talk to Derek for you. No, that's okay. Look, I need to get some rest and you need to go make things right with the person on the other end of that phone. And, well, hey, promise me you'll text me if yes, I will. So, they hold each other's hands briefly and then Andre leaves. So that leads to Uptown, where Derek comes in, talks with Naomi for a bit. Tell me whether or not you're Team Ashley right now. I'm Team Dashley. Essentially, like, until I hear both sides, I can't really pick a side. So they sit down and talk, and he's like, I don't know, from my gym clothes, smelly socks and whatnot, it just seems like everything I do is wrong. All these things, a couple bad things at once have turned into a mountain, and I don't know what to do. And Naomi just gives solid advice, because I love how she takes a moment to say, look, you might look at Jacob and I, but we're not picture perfect relationship goals. Like, everything looks good when we're out in public, but we still have trouble behind the scenes. Like, when it comes to fighting and whatnot, it's difficult because, remember, I'm an attorney. My entire life career revolves around debating. He's a detective police officer. His whole thing is finding clues and whatnot. So it's hard to like hide anything emotionally from him, because he's going to want to get down to the bottom of it. So and this is the part that kind of lost me. Maybe it's because I'm still bitter about what happened earlier in the show, but she brings up the whole thing about Jacob arresting her mom. And the only reason she has seemingly moved on was due to her mom and grandmother not being mad at him. So, and look, this is my takeaway. Feel free to let me know if I misinterpreted the scene, but it almost seems, because she even says, like, Jacob said he was doing his job, but he doesn't understand that arresting my mom hurt so much. Okay, I understand that to an extent. Yeah, and nobody who wants to see their mom arrested, especially by a family member, let alone your own husband. But she goes on to say that was the worst thing he could have done. No, for obvious reasons. So going back to earlier when she mentioned her mom and her grandmother Anita, it wasn't just the fact that they weren't mad at Jacob for arresting Danny. They understood he did not only what he had to do, but in such a way that didn't tarnish the pre-name. Because go back to that night, they were pissed. Anita, Vernon, they were all glaring at Jacob. It's like, listen, my boss, the chief, he wanted to have a whole basically parade of squad cars, lights and sirens going off. I had to basically talk him down, saying, look, if you give me just a few minutes to come out with my mother-in-law, no sirens, no press, no cameras. We'll make sure you're treated with decency and respect, and just get this done. Because if some random Joe Smo at the office or the station who wanted to get like their 15 seconds of fame, they would have made sure this would have been a whole production. So after he said that, that's when Anita and Vernon were like, okay, yeah, okay, Danny, just go with Jacob. We'll be right behind you. So at that moment, they realized like Jacob wasn't doing this from any place of disdain or disrespect. He was looking out for the family. But Naomi still doesn't see it that way. And the only reason she's quote unquote moved past that is because of her mom and Anita, which again, it doesn't appear like she got the right message from that incident. She basically still looks at her husband as hurting her as opposed to protecting her own mom. Good grief. But from there, he pretty much details the fact that Ashley just needs to be heard, and, you know, the communication needs to be open. So I believe she even like types up a message and sends it to Derek, kind of like, you know, hey, here's basically what you should say to Ashley. And from there, just listen to her, see what she has to say. And from there, you know, everybody kind of rounds out the episode. We got like half a dozen characters, well, close to half a dozen characters alone. You got Chelsea in bed, upset about, you know, the Allison thing. Danny's rubbing the other side of the bed, wishing Andre was there. Andre's at his place, wishing obviously Ashley was there, or better yet, he was over there with Ashley. Ashley's in bed looking at a picture of Derek, and Derek's in bed looking at a picture of him and Ashley, and they both say goodnight to her because Ashley said, you know, we had this thing where we'd never go to sleep mad at each other, but, well, there you go. But Ashley, you can't, honestly, I can't believe you would pack his stuff and leave. If you could go back and watch the way you lashed out at this man, you really can't blame him. But that's pretty much it. So with that being said, that's episode 57. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.